Uh, I know what the problem was. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, we are gonna redo this entire cast. Thanks for alerting us, Matthew. I'm not even gonna cut the stream. I'm gonna just cut the podcast up and just put it
Yep.
back up there. For people watching, sorry. I don't know why OBS defaulted without me knowing. That's weird.
Hmm.
Weird stuff has happened, I guess. But all right, let me get this set up. Okay. All right, I'm gonna just do a cold open in three, two, one. Hello, everybody. It is Chris, aka Starrapter, here with Ben, here with Milton for Outer Rim Transmission episode 200. We made it to 200, although 200 is not the actual 200 celebration. That won't be until 208 because we didn't actually start this as a podcast till episode 8 on my Outer Rim Transmission. The first 7 episodes were just me doing like interviews with different fans from around the globe, and I had these two on individually, and I said, "Hey, guys, we had a good conversation. Let's turn this into a podcast." So, hey, we're gonna have more of a celebration when we get to episode 208 on the podcast. But for now, we're gonna be talking mainly about Maul Shadowlord tonight. We also have some updates about other like funny spoof Star Wars movies that surprisingly got announced, as well as an update on Andor and maybe even more stuff. So, getting into it, I'm going to throw it over to Ben. How's it going, man?
Good, man. Just been busy lately, really. Working on moving into the new house. Gonna be moving in there within the next 2 weeks. So this is one of the last few weeks you'll see me at this shooting location. So I'm excited for that, and yeah, just getting excited for like this new chapter in life and everything, and excited to still continue to talk Star Wars and along the way, and then of course, when I get there, probably even more because I have some other Star Wars friends that are wanting to like get me on as like guests and stuff and whatnot. So I'm gonna be doing even more, talking around the internet. So yeah, I'll keep everyone updated on that as well.
Sweet. Yeah. It's always great to get your voice into other places. I do the other podcast myself every Wednesday. Me and Matthew go on there and talk about comics. So, hey, it's always fun to switch it up.
Oh yeah, it's always a good time.
Yeah. And I'm throwing over to Milton. You got how many days as a bachelor left?
13.
Oh,
13
man. We're
days, and
getting
then
down to the wire.
I'll officially be married. That's crazy. So less than 2 weeks. We're excited. We're busy. A little stressed. Probably a little annoyed at times, but that's just because it's part of the process of getting married and getting your life situated. No, I mean seriously though, honestly, like it's a lot. So, but this is a good thing for sure, where it challenges you in a lot of ways, which is good. But I'm excited. Um, can't wait to get there. It's going to be a good day. Celebrate with friends and with close friends and family, and so yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was watching and this ties into my week in Star Wars about like me watching the rest of the Star Wars Celebration 2025 Japan live stream after all 3 days. At one point, this one random couple got interviewed. They were on their honeymoon in Japan, and they got asked like how their wedding was, and the groomsmen all had like clone trooper armor, and the bride had like
Yeah,
no Leia haircut from like the end of Return of the Jedi and Endor Village, like that whole sequence. And I was like, wow, people really really go all out with this
nice.
sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like I watched something this morning on a couple where like their best friend has like a 3D printer, and they made them for the wedding gifts. They made them Mandalorian helmets
Ooh.
for the wedding presents, and it was pretty cool. So,
Oh.
the bride had like this all white. Yeah, she had like a all white and silver. Um, Sabine, not Sabine Wren. Who's Katie Sackhoff's character?
Oh,
Oh, Bo
Bo-Katan.
Katan.
Oh my God, I know this chick. Yes, yes, they made her a Bo-Katan Mandalorian white and like silver helmet for like a bride, and then the groom had a Mandalorian helmet, but with Anakin Skywalker's colors from the Clone Wars, so like that
Oh.
navy blue and that like that dark maroon red. It was pretty cool. It was very impressive. So that makes you think like Star Wars isn't just for fantasy purposes. Like people really do love this property and they
Mm-hmm.
ingrain it into their daily lives. And to do something special like that, the legit three. I mean, that's kind of cool. And that's pretty like impressive.
Heck yeah. So, hey, next week it'll be less than a week, and then a week after that we won't see you, and you'll come back the next time. It's going to be a married man, so that'll be exciting. That'll be really cool. The anticipation is there. So I got my buddy Dark Nerdy Gonzo in the chat, and thank goodness he was in the chat tonight, guys, because somehow my mic wasn't getting picked up with the software, or actually either of our mics. No audio is getting picked up. So behind the scenes look, we went 10 minutes with recording and nothing was happening. And that's just what happens with recording stuff sometimes, everybody. It just happens. But luckily it wasn't a full hour of it. But what also reminded me with Dark Nerdy Gonzo, he's a local to me in New Jersey here, and we always go to New York Comic Con. So my week in Star Wars is tangentially related to Star Wars because I got my tickets for New York Comic Con. They went on sale today. There's tickets all still available for everything but the 4 days and the VIP, but you can still buy each single day if you want to go all 4 days and whatnot. But the one thing that we were both very unhappy with is the ticket prices went up by like $20 a day in a year. I'm like, wait, what? Now they're $84? Like, it's kind of crazy. So I just wanted to mention that, if you're planning on going to New York Comic Con, there might be some level of sticker shock. It would have been nice to know why the price went up so much. And, well, I sure as heck hope that this thing is epic because, I mean, they didn't even announce a single guest. Which is concerning because usually they would have a bunch of guests already announced and then we would kind of know like why we're going there. I just spent like hundreds of dollars not really even knowing what the heck I'm going to do. So we shall see. I'm feeling, a little cautious with this purchase. Hopefully soon we get to know. And I mean, I'm always there for the Star Wars content. So I mean, we're hitting a dry spell, so I really don't expect anything but the comics to show up in the books. But hey, I mean, there's Marvel, there's DC, there's a whole lot of other properties, which is why New York Comic Con is great. But hey, this is just anybody out there on the East Coast, or even if you're from another part of the country, they're just kind of a heads up, like, hey, the tickets are on sale. You'll see me there, as I'm always there every year, walking around. So there you go. There's your public service announcement.
Nice.
Yeah, so Ben, what's your week in Star Wars? Have you listened, played, watched anything?
I mean, my main week in Star Wars, I sent it to both of you guys, I believe, was there was someone on Instagram, it was just a random handle that popped up when I was scrolling through Reels. They made like a little trailer for the Death Troopers Legends book, and it's so cool because it's like you hear like a chick like panicking, saying like Imperial Star Destroyer, we need help, yada yada yada. Like they even did the voiceover for like an Imperial officer like responding to her and basically saying, yeah, right, or whatever, prepare to be boarded. And they were like, pretty much saying don't board because in the background you hear like the groans of like the zombie troopers and stuff. And it's like they made because I looked in the description of the video and it looks like they made it for like a school project or something, like must have been for like a media class or something along those lines. But yeah, they made that. It's like a little trailer for the Death Troopers book, and it's really cool. So that was my week in Star Wars, just seeing a really neat little fan made thing like that, and especially it hit home because Death Troopers was one of my favorite Legends books back in the day.
Yeah, it's one of the few Legends books I read, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I read the expanded Legends collection version of it, which also has a really cool cover. What did they? I didn't get a chance to watch this. Is it made with AI a little bit? Is it like more all practical? Any CGI? What is it like?
Yeah, it's like a CGI one. It's like CGI created and stuff. And like I said, it reminds you like how they used to make those old book trailers back in the day, like in the 90s, 2000s. And that's literally what it reminds you of. And like I said, you can hear like the Imperial officer talking over the comms, and like I said, you hear the zombie troopers scrounging around and stuff, and it was really impressive. I was like, dang, that is so cool. And like, you know, like I always say with a lot of this stuff, like, trailers are supposed to get you excited for something, like John Campea always says, and that did its job. It got me excited for that book, actually.
Yeah, we need more book trailers. I know they were supporting the High Republic with different kind of YouTube material, which was really neat, and then they just stopped doing that all of a sudden once they hit the phase 3. But yeah, we gotta see more of that. I know we got that upcoming Darth Vader book coming out by Adam Christopher. It'd be kind of cool to get some kind of like neat like Darth Vader kind of trailer for that sort of thing. But it just seems like they're skimping out on any kind of extra superfluous kind of spending at Lucasfilm these days. I mean, heck, they canceled a freaking YouTube show where they would talk about Star Wars news every week. We're never gonna get a trailer for books now.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the best trailers back in the day. There was it's the only time you'll ever hear Luke talk about it. They had Mark Hamill do a voiceover for the new Jedi Order series,
Yep.
talking about like the upcoming threat of the Yuuzhan Vong and all that. It's like, that is just so epic to think about. Like, so, those sorts of things just added that little extra spin to those books.
Yeah. Yep. Milton, I know you've been super busy, but do you have anything to report on?
What did I see on Instagram the other day? Oh yeah, you know how like AI is popping up everywhere.
Yep.
People use it to make funny videos or whatnot. I saw this Instagram page of these stormtroopers. They were taking selfies with a camera phone, and they were talking about, oh, we gotta something about, oh, we're doing light duty. It's like,
Yep.
hey, so this is so and so from whatever. We're doing light duty on Endor. Oh, this is
Yep.
nothing. Blah blah blah.
I
And
know
then
what page
just
you're
when you
talking
think
about.
about it, it's like, oh my god, like I'm like, yeah, they're about to die in like a couple of days, because they're gonna get blown up. And I'm like, oh my god, like the use of AI can be really funny and creative when used correctly. And that page had me dying because I was like, oh my god, like they don't realize, obviously, in that timeline of Star Wars, that they're going to be beaten by some teddy bears and
Yep.
blown
Yep.
up by the rebellion. So like that made me laugh. So I've been watching some of those videos lately.
Yeah, it's a really good page, Chris. That popped up on my feed a few days ago too, because I see the one, Milton, where they were like running through the woods, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, what's happening? We're all getting taken out by little teddy bears," and the other guy's like, "Oh, I'm scared. This is freaking me out." Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's called like Stormtrooper Vlogs, I think, is what the page was called.
Oh my gosh. That's
It's
great.
really good.
That's
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah.
Great viral
It's like
content.
Stormtrooper vlogs, and then there's like another one. Yeah, there's another one that's like Vader's logs or something where like the
Yep.
stormtroopers are like with him and they're like just taking like these vlogs, but he's not really interacting. He's just there, like, and behind the scenes they're like, yeah, Vader's over there acting a fool, like he's a piece of shit, blah blah. Like they're just making fun of him, but also
Oh
like
man.
just trying to like buy some time. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of funny.
Yeah, another video I seen. I forget I think it was on Facebook Reels or something like that. But it was like that one. I'm sure you guys probably seen it. The one officer at Celebration, one female Imperial officer going around giving citations to all the Imperials. So she gives like this. She walks around Celebration conventions, and she's like very proper. And she's got like a thick like Brooklyn accent, which just makes it even more hilarious because they're usually English accents. And she's just like giving people tickets. Like, oh yeah, she goes up to like Hunter from the Bad Batch and is like, "You're not wearing your helmet. Here's a ticket." She goes up to just like all these random Imperials and finds a thing to critique, and it's just hilarious. And we're just like, "Oh no!" But yeah, viral content, man. It's like some of this stuff. I'm like, why didn't I think of this? Why couldn't I have thought of something good like this and get crazy views?
Oh yeah, it's crazy when you
Yeah.
see some of the pieces of viral material. I mean, heck, even our friend Hannah from the race side, like, it's funny. Like, one of my buddies back, it was a couple years ago during Ahsoka. One of her Instagram reels like popped off, and one of my buddies just like sent it to me and was like, "What do you think of this girl's opinion?" I was like, "Oh, well, I know her actually." Um, But it was crazy. But like one of her reels, like it popped off at like 10 or 15,000 shares and stuff, and I was like, dude, that is just crazy. Like, if one piece of content pops off, it just snowballs.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I know she does like a lot of those like different sounds, like pod race sounds and all those sorts of
Yeah.
things, which is hilarious. Oh yeah. I wish I could have hung out with her for longer at Celebration. We linked up her and Dominic from Star Wars Underworld podcast like at the hotel lobby for all of like maybe 30 minutes. It was pretty fun because that's Celebration for you. It's like, okay, Celebration's over. What are we doing now? Let's just go to this random hotel bar and just stand around, be loud, and talk about Star Wars and all this other BS for who knows how long until they kick us out kind of thing. That's just how celebrations are. But very good, very good. We're gonna move right along. But first, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We talk about Star Wars very regularly here. Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern is when we go live, and we're also available to download for any podcast audio listeners on Spotify, Apple Music, and more. Just search Outer Rim Transmission. Getting into this week's releases, we had a bumper crop, as they call it in the South. I think that's like a terminology. I don't know. Means there's a lot of comics that came out. We have The Bad Batch Ghost Agents #4. We have The Rise of Skywalker #5. And we have Star Wars 2025 issue #2. So there you go. You can watch those and watch my reviews for those, as well as watch me and Matthew over on the Tractor Beam comics in review over there with the Star Wars Underworld channel, breaking those down in detail. I am going to throw in a quick audible. I know it's not out this week, but literally on Tuesday we are getting basically the finale of the High Republic. So for me, this is like the amount of anticipation is pretty much as great as like the last Harry Potter book. Like, I'm excited. If there was a midnight launch of this thing, I would go there and pick it up at midnight. Like, that's the kind of vibe check I'm having right now. It's like, oh man, I want to see how this thing ends. There's so many things, so many stakes there with these characters that we really don't know what happens to them. Okay, granted, I do know a couple of the fates because they were spoiled in the Wayseeker Venestra Row book that takes place like 80 years later. So some of those characters popped up in that book, and I'm like, well, that's great. Why did this book get published after the finale? But hey, that's for another time, another place. I'm so excited. There's so many more characters that I don't know the fates of. So yeah, that's coming out on Tuesday. For a High Republic fan, you might want to go dark for a little bit, or at least not go into the High Republic Reddit and different things like that, because you can't control what other people are going to blabber their mouth about. So there you go. Getting into this week's news, though, we have a lot of cool stuff happening around the galaxy. Namely, Andor seems to have done really well with the finale. It looks like it's the #1 Nielsen show for that week that the finale aired. It even beat out Bluey, which is just still going strong, apparently. So, yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. It's good to hear. It definitely deserves. And I mean, all of us here on the podcast really enjoyed that finale. Thought it was just really good Star Wars in general. Word of mouth is the best way to get this stuff to spread, and obviously that worked because I was telling people at work. People were coming up to me and talking to me about the episode without me even talking about it. So, like, obviously the buzz was in the air. Now, if only we could just get this show to win a couple Emmys, I'll be really happy because everybody freaking deserves it, from the crew to the cast. That show is awesome. So I don't know if you have anything to say about this one, Ben.
No, I mean it's good. It's good that it did so well. I don't want to be like a throw a bucket of water on something good, but part of it does. Part of the numbers, I'm sure, one of the main reasons the numbers are so high is it's a 3-part finale. I mean that's a major factor in terms of this. Which, I mean, it's a good strategy. It's not like I'm not knocking the show at all. It's just it's a strategy by the studio more than anything, just to like do that sort of thing. Because you would have that for any show. Like if it's like whatever, if it's a 3-part finale, naturally there'd be more viewers because no one's going to quit a finale halfway through, for example. So yeah. Either way, though, I think it's good. It's good that it ended on a high note, and yeah, I mean that's significant mark. It's good that it went out like that. I mean, I notably remember like the Acolyte barely made the top 10. Like it squeaked into the top 10 by like it was like 10 million. It was like 10 million minutes. It was number 10. So like
Oof.
for more recent Star Wars shows for reference. But yeah, so it's good that this ended out strong.
Let's see. This one specifically, I have a quote. It got 931 million minutes.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's still up there. Look back and I finally, we're already a couple weeks back. It's crazy to think like Andor has come and gone. But it's gonna stand the test of time. I think it really will. I'm looking forward to seeing like those people that might lag behind. Like 6 months from now, they come up to me and be like, "Hey, I finally watched that Andor show." Because that's usually what happens. Like I talk to friends and family
Right.
that don't watch this stuff right away, and then it's always fun to talk about it because then I'm like, it sparks all that like creative like talking points of, oh yeah, what'd you think about that moment? What'd you think about this moment? And it brings me kind of joy because it's like the casuals are watching it and it's still staying in like the cultural zeitgeist for a little bit longer. So that's always fun.
Well, I think it helps that it's summertime now. I think people have a little more downtime to watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
I know people say like usually the fall and winter are the times where people watch TV. Yes, that's true. But with the summer, if you're especially if you're a kid or if you're someone that's a teacher, you're not going to work. So you're going to be chilling, trying to figure out what to watch. If you're a parent of kids and if you're a single parent that's at home or something, you're going to want to watch something. So yes, I can see the numbers elevating, one, because the ending was really good, but also two, this is the time to actually take the time while you watch it on vacation, where you're in the car streaming it. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Ben, I'm gonna let you lead the charge on the next topic because out of nowhere we got a new spoof of Star Wars trailer release. So go at it. I know you're excited
Yeah.
about this one.
So I mean, for starters, the headline is we're getting Spaceballs 2. It's coming in 2027, and it's being made by Amazon, which is a really good sign since they made so much quality content over the years. And the main thing that's exciting about it is it's theatrical. So they're actually going to put a good budget in it versus just short sighting it and making it just a streaming type thing. So has a good foundation there. And I think the big insane part about this, like we've known this sequel was coming. I think it was announced a couple years ago in a brief press release, but now they put out the official little teaser trailer, and they gave us the cast. And we have Bill Pullman returning as Lone Star. We have his son, Lewis Pullman, playing in the movie, which to me I think they're gonna kind of like spoof the Kylo Han type deal, probably. And then of course Mel Brooks is returning as Yogurt, which is like Spaceballs' version of Yoda. And then the most important, like earth-shattering announcement they made that came out of this was they got Rick Moranis out of retirement. Like he notably plays the villain Dark Helmet, and he's been in a lot of other movies as well. But he's been out of acting for nearly 20 years now because his
Whoa.
wife passed away. Yeah, his wife passed away in the late 90s, early 2000s. And like he basically what he did was, he pretty much like said like, "Hey, I'm not going to be one of those like Hollywood actors that kind of like shuffle my kids off on other people and have other people raise my kids when I'm busy and stuff." So he completely retired from acting altogether just to
Wow.
raise his kids, and he raised his kids all the way through high school and college, and now that they're done with all that stuff, he is getting back into acting for arguably his most iconic role in Dark Helmet. So it's really really awesome to see him returning back to the big screen. And for me, I mean, I think Spaceballs is arguably the greatest comedy ever in terms of movies, just because it hits all the spoof check boxes. And at that time, like that was such a big thing because Star Wars was the franchise in the 80s, and this was, I think, released in 86 or 87, so it was right after Star Wars. And yeah, that's kind of like the big takeaways from the big announcement.
Yeah, we got to talk about the trailer itself, Milton. Milton, did you get a chance to see the trailer for Spaceballs 2? I think we
Sorry, I
have.
was muted.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
there
say
we
either
go.
we have
I
a
have,
really big
I
delay or
have
you're
not.
muted.
No, I was muted. My bad. I have not seen it yet.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about it anyway if you don't care. I'm sure you don't really care. So, the beginning of the trailer is a crawl, and the crawl is just like digging a knife into every major franchise ever released since like this movie came out.
Okay.
It starts with like the usual Star Wars as you would expect, but then it goes into like Avatar, it goes into like Jurassic Park, it goes into like every Marvel DC twice rebooted. It was just like they got the tone.
Nice.
They got the tone already. Now I'll be pure and transparent here. I've never actually sat through all of Spaceballs, and I've seen like, we're combing in a desert with a giant comb,
Yep.
and like all these things with like merchandise. Like I know all the memes. I've watched it through memes, and I've watched like little clips here and there people have shared. But I'm guessing Amazon, if they're gonna be distributing it, they'll probably have the first one to stream for nothing if you're a Prime member, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get
I
around to
would
that.
yeah, I would assume it's probably on Prime. Um but yeah, I mean Amazon, I mean not Amazon. Spaceballs, yeah, it has so many of those iconic memes that came out of that movie. And it's just a well-rounded movie in general. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do things. And like even one of our favorite YouTubers, John Campia, said the main thing they got to get going on though for that movie is they, like, knock on wood, Mel Brooks is in great health. Like he's helping co-write the movie. He's playing Yogurt. He's probably playing President Scroob again. But the thing is,
Who?
I mean, President Scroob, Skrube, Scroob.
Yeah.
But so it's basically like the Tark, not really the Tarkin, kind of like the pseudo Emperor slash Tarkin character of the movie to Dark Helmet. So he plays the biggest bad guy, and then he also plays the main good guy, the Yoda character too. Um, but Mel Brooks has got to get shooting these scenes because he's 99 years old. Like,
Whoa.
yeah, that and it's awesome though that he's in still good enough health to be writing and being creative and participating in acting and all of this stuff. But yeah, I mean you have all of these things, and like I've already seen like pictures of like Spaceballs the sweatshirt and stuff like that out there. And the thing
Mm.
is, it's going to be cool because we're actually going to get merchandise for this movie most likely. I mean, I'm assuming
Oh, Amazon's gonna go crazy with this. You're
well,
gonna go on the home page. There's gonna be like that whole page of Spaceballs 2 merch.
yep. Well, see, one of the big things back in the day, now that it's like Disney owned and stuff, it's different. I'm sure they don't, it's whatever now. But back in the day, like George notably like requested, one of the big things, like Mel Brooks ran this movie across his desk basically,
Oh,
and George liked it,
really?
but he said he pretty much, because he was into like comedies and things like that. But his thing was, like, it's been known over the years, is like he pretty much said you can do whatever, just don't make a bunch of merchandise so it conflicts with our Star Wars merchandise. Like we
Uh,
don't want a dark helmet with the Darth Vader and whatever. But that's one of the other like deeper layers of them doing that whole merchandising bit in the original movie, because it's basically like poking at George for saying no
Right.
merchandising, and they're poking at
uh,
George. That's why they had that whole bit in there. But yeah, so it's gonna be exciting to see them do that, because like you said, Amazon's gonna pump out like they'll go full throttle. I'm sure, like Spaceballs. I'm sure they'll bring back Spaceballs, the lunchbox, and like all the things from the original movie. I'm sure. But yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, the best thing about all this though is just Rick Moranis returning. Like, I think that's incredible.
yeah. So the subtitle is The Swartz Awaken, right?
Yep.
So think about it. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
us would say that, the sequel trilogy could have been better. Let's just say that nicely. So they're gonna have if they do this anything good, like they're gonna have a ball with the subject material. If they're basing this on a sequel trilogy, can you imagine like the quotes of these movie review sites? They're gonna say Spaceballs 2 is better than sequel trilogy. I'm seeing it already. I'm seeing they're gonna say, Spaceballs 2 makes the sequel trilogy look like a joke and
Yep.
stuff like that. They're gonna run the ball with this one, and it's gonna be. I mean, I like the sequel trilogy, but like they're gonna take a crap on it, basically.
Yeah. If they hit, if the comedy, if
As
they
they
hit the,
should.
if they hit
As
the, if they hit the comedy, like I'm sure once you guys see the original, if they hit the comedy like they did in the original, I mean, like you were about to say, Milton, the comedy. There's so many things right on a silver platter for a comedian to come
Yeah,
in and use.
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. Look, I've seen the first one. I like that movie. It's really good. I've always been a Mel Brooks fan. I think whether you like the sequels or not, any property can be spoofed and made fun of. I mean, look, South Park's been doing it for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And it's great. So I think this is an opportunity, one, capitalize on it, but also say, you know what, Star Wars, it's okay to make fun of yourselves. Like, we know what it was. If I'm Disney and Lucasfilm, take advantage of it. You probably could monetize this in some way, shape, or form. Make fun of yourself. It's okay. Like, we're
Yeah.
all there to laugh. We're still going to love Star Wars no matter what, but it's okay to make fun of a property. And look, it's Mel Brooks. This is what he does.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the funny thing with this though, guys, in the original one, they made fun of like the whole straight to home video VHS like bit in the movie. I bet they're gonna lean into making fun of like streaming services or
Oh yeah.
something, in this movie, like making fun of like straight to
Yeah.
streaming, how all these series are now.
Oh yeah. So, hey, I know we're a Star Wars podcast, but we also were talking about Indiana Jones before. Remember how we were talking about Indiana Jones? We might have even reviewed Indiana Jones on this very show. I don't even remember, but so yeah, we got Spaceballs coming out the same year as an actual Star Wars movie. So that's going to be insane, right? You think about Starfighter, it's coming out the same
Oh,
year as
yeah.
Spaceballs too. So we're
I'll
gonna have a lot to talk about that year.
I'll say right now, we don't know anything about Starfighter, so I'm well in the time range to change my opinion. But I am 1,000% more excited for Spaceballs than I am Starfighter. 1,000%. It's not even in the stratosphere of how
Yeah,
excited I
I
am.
mean, if it's difficult. If it was any other spin-off Star Wars movie, like set during the original trilogy or the prequels, I would be there
Yeah.
with you. But the fact, well, I can't even say that. I haven't even watched the first one yet. So what am I even saying? Let's just say, like, hypothetically, I watched and enjoyed the first movie. I would say that I would probably still
But
be
you
more
will.
excited for Starfighter because it's a new era of Star Wars, and I want to see the new stuff after Rise of Skywalker. I want to see what the galaxy's been through, what's going on. Plus, it's got the big AAA actor in there, so Ryan Gosling. So, but
Yeah.
yes, I know your sentiment. I could totally understand that.
Oh yeah. It'll be good. Like I said, got to get shooting Mel Brooks' scenes quickly.
Oh yeah. So our final topic, our theme for tonight is, as I very much speculated, as we speculated here, they would announce a new Star Wars show at Celebration. They did not disappoint. We got the announcement. I was in the room at the Celebration stage in the Makuhari Messe in Chiba, Japan. When they came out there on stage and they showed us a trailer revealing Maul Shadow Lord. Sam Witwer gets on the mic after the trailer. It's all dark, red lighting, says, "Roll it again," in like a Darth. That was terrible. A Darth Maul kind of rage-filled voice, which was pretty cool. So yeah, I want to throw it over to Milton first. I know, unfortunately, they didn't release a darn trailer yet because I would love to watch it again myself. But even if you haven't watched the leaked trailer online, which I'm sure you probably could have, I don't know if it would still be up at this point, but just the idea of a series about Maul in between the two trilogies. Do you dig that idea, Milton?
Absolutely. And just to piggyback off of Ben's point earlier, this is where I wish the panels were more intimate, you know, and more like, hey, let's just show this stuff, let's not. Yes, I know you guys paid the money to be there, and I think that's awesome that you get the first dibs at it. But it's okay to show the fans who can't go internet. But to answer your question, yes, I'm excited. I think this works. I mean, if it's animation, of course it works. Like everything that they do, animation wise, works 90% of the time. And it's nice that Sam Witwer is coming back to voice the character. He's very synonymous with that character. I'd be surprised if they're going to. One, I want to know what type of animation that they're using for this show. But two, will they utilize Ray Park in any way when it comes to the way of Maul fighting,
Mm.
his physical mannerisms, that type of thing. So it'd be curious to see if they blend both the voice and the human form of both the actors that play that character. But I'm excited. I think this works. Maul's a very intriguing character. Obviously, we didn't get these stories of Dathomir when he was the son of Dathomir stories when he was taking capture, but there's so much to him that we still don't quite understand. I
Mm.
mean, if you read the Plagueis book, that's his origin story of
Yep.
how the Night Sisters, you know, gifted him to Palpatine. Again, that should be canon. In my head, that's canon. Um, there's so much to his story that we really don't know. So I think
Hmm.
this is a great opportunity to tell more of his story, but also like tell his character to show us, okay, how did he become that hermit type character that we saw him in Rebels at the end when he was kind of away, but still kind of
Mm.
obsessing about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, over there on Malachor, that was interesting. And to tell you, I'm happy to tell you this because you're like, I don't know what kind of animation. It is the same kind of animation we're getting from Tales of the Underworld and the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. It's very much like that same exact
Yeah.
team. I think what is his name, Ben? Jason Aaron or James Aaron or something like that.
Um,
And something Kellogg, I think, or Keith Kellogg or something
well,
like that.
yeah,
The whole team that's been working on Clone Wars animation, that whole main team is working on this.
yeah,
Right. Nice, and that's good though, because it's only gotten better. I mean,
Yeah, oh yeah.
even watching the last Tales, it's gotten significantly better, which shows you that they really take the animation department seriously. Um, which I think that was George's vision and dream when he started this, that company, but also decided to go that route with Clone Wars. But yeah, I'm excited for Maul. I think he's a very intriguing character. Like you can't get enough of him. I think that he's a character that people can relate to because he's very tragic, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Ben? What were your initial impressions and thoughts? I don't know if there was a
yeah,
leaked trailer going around. Okay, you could talk about that too if you want.
yeah, yep. Yeah, I definitely think Milton will like the animation style because, like Chris said, it's like the Clone Wars Bad Batch Tales style. But I feel like I don't know, Chris, you might be able to back me a little on this. Like, I think the animation style of the trailer looks almost more gritty,
Oh yeah.
like it looks more like gritty. If I can, I don't know how to describe it, but I think it looks more like grounded, I guess.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely has its own unique flair, which lends itself into the darkness and the underworld that in which they're going to deal with this subject matter. But you can go on, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. It has that feel. But I think, you know, obviously like Sam Witwer's incredible as Maul. But I think the big thing for a lot of like the people that are like really inside baseball, like all of us, has to it comes down to there's a shot in the trailer, Milton, where Maul is with a red Twi'lek woman, and there's like no context. We don't know her name or anything. But the thing is, people are like, by the looks of the scene and stuff, people are thinking it could be like his apprentice or underling. And the reason why that had the internet a buzz for so long after that shot came out was because in George's original sequel trilogy adaptation that's out there, he had Maul as like the Emperor character, and then his apprentice was Darth Talon, a red Twi'lek woman. So people, there's a lot of talk out there, like, of course, obviously these characters won't survive past this original trilogy, clearly, but it's like I wonder if they're throwing that in there just as a little nod to George. If they're going to give Maul this apprentice before, the events of Rebels and stuff. And that was kind of like, for like a lot of the hardcore Star Wars fans, that was a lot of the topic of conversation after that trailer. It was just like, holy smokes, are they bringing in Darth Talon into canon, which is like George's concept? And we've seen them incorporate George's concept for a lot of different things. I mean, look at Bad Batch was literally George's idea, basically. So it's just, it's another thing, like, hey, a little nod to Lucas there potentially in the show.
Yeah, so exactly. I very much looking forward to exploring that character more, because that stood out to me. Like, oh, this is a character that's a lot younger than when we've seen her in the, Darth Talon. She doesn't have the tattoos on her. She doesn't have any of that kind of stuff, but she's got a saber and different things. And Maul's training her, and it's just there's the pikes in the trailer and all that, and so it's cool to see that legacy. Is she actually in something called Legacy, by the way? Is that the storyline? Legacy of the Force or something like whatever. You guys know Legends. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's in some iteration, but
I think she's I think she was old. Was she originally an Old Republic character? I thought, or no?
Oh no, she was like I said, she was in the George Lucas sequel adaptation, but she was in like another
Okay.
she was in another book series or something. I swear, I think it was after Return of the Jedi, like in that main EU timeline. I think it was in that era, but yeah, she was in Legends to a degree, but yeah, she was supposed to be one of the big bads in Lucas's stuff.
Yeah, so my initial reaction was, or my initial reaction now still is like, wow, I'm surprised that Lucasfilm is doing this. First of all, this kind of breaks a lot of trends for Lucasfilm. If you think about it this way with their animation projects, like, all right, first one was Clone Wars, then we have Rebels, then we have Resistance, then we have Bad Batch. What do they all have in common? They're ensemble. They're ensemble pieces. They're all groups of characters, or groups of characters during certain times or organizations, like Resistance or Bad Batch, right? Like, so I am shocked, first of all, that it's actually more in line with the Star Wars live action series, like Obi-Wan or Ahsoka. We're going back to that naming convention of a single character is going to be leading, just like Andor, but it doesn't necessarily mean, just like Andor, it's not about just Cassian. Like, that ends up being an entire story. And we keep talking about this. Like, should it even really be called Andor? It should be called like Dawn of the Rebellion or something like that. It'd be a more aptly named title or something along those lines. So that gets me thinking, like, okay, like, what do you guys feel or think about a series for the first time in animation that is going to be more focused on a character like this? I'll throw it over to Milton first.
I mean, it's makes sense. I think it's an appropriate time to do it. You're right. Everything has been ensemble when it comes to these series, except for some of the live action ones. But I truly think the animation. Why not? I mean, why not do it? I mean, it works. I mean, and especially with Dave Filoni driving the ship and Sam Witwer. Come on, like, it's going to be nice. So I'm cool with it. Honestly, we've been saying it for actually what, 5-6 years now. We should have got a Luke animation series at this point between Return of the Jedi and the sequel trilogy. And we've all said it. If you want to tell his story, do it in an animation form. Only needs about 3 to 4 seasons, about 15 episodes a pop to tell his story. So this isn't unprecedented to think that we should get this type of series with an individual character in animation form. I'm down with it. So if they smack Maul out of the park, as I think they will, then why not explore a character that has been truly disrespected since Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, and give us an animation of Luke Skywalker. Oh, seriously, and I know this isn't a Luke topic, but your original question, yes, this works. Give us
Mm-hmm.
this story. Let this be the test pilot or the pilot of the series to see how this looks for animation for single characters. I think it will work.
Okay. What about
Yeah,
you, Ben?
yeah, I completely agree. I think that's one of the big things to note as well coming into this topic is this show also is not just like a one-off or anything like that, because it's titled an original series. So this is going to be a multi-season. This is,
Oh.
I mean, I would say this is their probably going to be their new flagship show, their new multi-season show like Bad Batch or Clone Wars or whatever. So we're probably looking at 3 seasons of this show, I would guess,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's just atrocious for some reason. But yeah, I think it's good. I do think like we'll probably get like a full gang together eventually at some point in this show because like you'll have Maul and let's just say Talon for namesake, but Maul and Talon, and then we'll probably get some other characters because the thing is since this is Maul Shadow Lord, like he's going to be dealing with probably underworld related things and whatnot, and right around this time period. This show is taking place. I believe they said right after Revenge of the Sith, at first, anyways. And then the thing is, though, I'm sure it's going to progress eventually. Like, what if we get a Kira appearance potentially? Because she could be down the line. Like maybe not in the first season, but maybe we get a Kira appearance in the second or third season, and this will kind of like tie up some of those loose ends from the solo franchise. So I think there's a lot of
I
opportunities
mean,
there for
low key,
story.
I can see this. About to say, I can seriously see this being low key like a solo, not sequel, but like a sequel to Maul's appearance in that movie. You know,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another thing that is unprecedented for this entire series is the fact that we're focusing on a bad guy character in Star Wars. Now we just got that with Tales of the Underworld, where Cad Bane. This is not a good character, but that was only 3 shorts that equal like 40 minutes in total length. Like we are getting, as Ben said, a multi-season show about an evil, bad character in Star Wars. And from what we've seen in the trailer, there's a lot of killing, a lot of brutality, the grittiness. I love this, but I'm also kind of shocked that Lucasfilm is doing this project. Like, this is probably going to be skewed for more like the older audiences, more mature. And I'm loving that. So what do you think about this perspective of this, Ben, about like having that focus on a dark side character, like all this
Yep.
information here?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of it's definitely interesting because to me it feels like you're going back to the old school, like the earlier Clone Wars days where there were some more darker things in the first few seasons of Clone Wars, and like it makes you. I mean, they said on the live stream, when the producer on the show, the lady that was up there with Sam, she uh she said like their team that they have together. I mean, I'm sure Milton, you can probably appreciate this from like a talent perspective. She said, like the main producer of the show, she mentioned that like they basically got the all-star team, like she literally used the word all-star, the all-star team together from Clone Wars, Rebels, and Bad Batch for this show. So that's why like I have so much faith in it because it's like, if you have pretty much the best people from each of these teams that worked on these shows on this show, like to me it's kind of like your I don't know, like your Miami Heat situation when LeBron and Chris Bosh went there, like where it's like you have all these great people working on the show. It's just I think the story, even though it's peculiar that it's from the villain's perspective, I think it's just because of the talent behind the scenes, I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. So I have a direct quote.
that's a good analogy.
Yeah. I have a direct quote actually from Sam Witwer. He was on actually Katie Sackhoff has a podcast apparently. And they were just talking about the show, and they are really under wraps when it comes to the show. Like even at Celebration, some quotes I'm pulling are like, "This is a show basically about bad guys versus versus worse bad guys." This is literally what we're saying. This isn't going to be a show where you find out Maul is a real teddy bear, man. We're not doing that. But is he as bad as Sidious or Vader? Actually, no. From the Sith perspective, this guy has flaws. There's humanity that seeps in at various points because of things that have happened to him. That is like the best, like the most in depth we've seen so far about what this show could actually be like. So I like this quote because it's showing us like, yeah, they're not trying to make this guy, we're not trying to make this guy like a good guy by the end of it, but we're going to see how he compares to other villains in Star Wars. We're going to be dealing with some of the worst guys of the Star Wars galaxy. So I'm all for this. I'm really all for this. Throwing it over to you, Milton. Where's your thoughts on this quote?
Love it. It I love it. It's simple as that. I think Sam said it. He can't say it any better. Um, I think the biggest thing that stands out is he as worse as Vader or Palpatine? No, because and I agree with that. I would say he's not as worse. I think he's probably a little more calculated at times, but I think he has a little more of a human element to him because of what he went through. Obviously, Vader went through his trauma of being scarred and burned and whatnot and lost his mother. But the difference is, like literally, Maul was cut in half, thrown away like trash. Is his master just didn't care about him, and his mind was withering away. And so I think that's where we're going to see more of that psyche piece and some of that human element coming in with him still having that. Well, no, he's not human, but that emotional element of him having that connection with his brother. And I'm curious to see how they're going to explore that because literally they're going to have to touch on his trauma about being axed in half, losing his master, losing his brother, losing his empire of like whatever. I cannot wait to see how they psychologically show us how damaged this person really is.
Yeah, that's I think going to be the meat of the whole story. It should be, at least if we were going to pilot this thing. That would be a great storyline. I would like to see is let's 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 peel back the layers of Darth Maul. Let's see from a psychological perspective, where is he? And again, going back to the timeline, this is just, it seems like we did not get an exact timeline, by the way. There's like no years or anything they gave, but it seems like to me this would take place right around the time of Bad Batch. Like this is right after Revenge of the Sith. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they show Maul like leaving Mandalore after getting defeated, by Ahsoka there, and going away with what's her face, the female Mandalorian minor character that is part of the Shadow Collective there. They're going to go back. He's going to lick his wounds, and they're going to probably start to try to create the Crimson Dawn. Because at this point, we see him at the end of Clone Wars. Then the next time we see him is 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, when he's with Kira, and he's like, I have training for you, or I have something I want you to do. And then it's like another 7 years or something after that is when he gets killed by Obi-Wan. So there's like if this is where I think it is, there's like a 10-year period just to get to Solo, and what's to say they can't go past Solo as well and show Kira. So there's like a lot of really good potential for character crossovers. I mean, heck, we just got Tales of the Underworld. I mean, we could fully expect Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress to even show up in this thing. I mean, I don't think it's going to be centered around Jedi, but she falls in the Underworld category. And at this point, the Jedi are being hunted by, the Empire there. So maybe they'd be in the Underworld. But yeah, really interesting things that could be coming in here.
I mean, here's something to throw out there for you guys. What if this is the origin of, like you said, kind of like this creation of the Crimson Dawn, but maybe what if we don't get the Crimson Dawn until maybe a later season, like the end of the second or third, because like say at the end of Clone Wars, Maul's trying to get Ahsoka to join him and do all that. Well, say if this chick is his apprentice that we see in the trailers, this red chick, what if she gets killed and then Maul names his group of people? I mean, red is crimson, like, so what if he dedicates his like criminal organization to her, basically? Like, what if like the Pikes take her out or something, and that turns Maul into like even a crazier form of Maul, I guess. Like, I think there's a lot of really cool ways, even though Maul's a villain. I think just having a sidekick character will humanize him, because whenever he loses that sidekick character, that's going to be like his breaking point or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's looking for Ezra for a
Yep.
partner, for an apprentice at one point in Rebels. So it's like, what's happening here? What's happening here? Why do you want this apprentice all of a sudden? So yeah, okay. He's feeling a sense of loss. His apprentice must have abandoned him. We got Dark Dirty Gonzo in the chat, kind of clearing things up a bit. Well, first of all, he wants the apprentice to survive after Return of the Jedi in the timeline. Star Wars Legacy takes place about 130 years after Return of the Jedi. For clarity's sake, there, everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because like
Nice.
you go back like 5 or 6 years ago, and I remember rumblings, seeing rumor reports of like, oh, Lucasfilm's next project is a Darth Maul series about Crimson Dawn or something like that. And then it completely like went under wraps and under the radar for years and years and years, only like to pop up without any kind of rumblings at Celebration. Like there was nobody going out there saying, "Oh yeah, they're going to announce Darth Maul." There's no insider sources. It was nice to see this thing kind of wrapped up nice and tight for a change, and just to be excited when this thing got announced. We don't get to see that much anymore in today's society with how social media is anymore.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't. From my friends that I know that are really good Star Wars reporters, I know I didn't hear anything from them leading up to it. All I knew was they had some sort of big animated project they were going to announce. But that's it. I mean, I didn't know the context of it. So yeah, it's cool that something like this went under wraps and actually got announced properly. Just because we can't, everything gets leaked nowadays. I mean, we just seen it with what's the movie with Red Hulk in it?
Oh,
Captain America.
Yeah.
Captain
Okay.
America.
Yeah. So Captain America. If you guys didn't see, the director of that movie came out and said they had to put Red Hulk in the trailers because it was going to get leaked through products anyway. So they figured they might as well just leak it. And that's unfortunately how things are nowadays. Especially, Marvel's big for that, but like Star Wars. God, if anything for Star Wars gets out, I mean, it's always through products or weird warehouse pictures or stuff. Like, so like it's great that we didn't get any sort of semblance of this. And I guess it's probably because they don't make merchandise really for a show, these animated shows too often. So like maybe that's why. Like maybe it's just like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit on production on products, and maybe that things won't leak out near as much.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mention it, we never get leaks about anything when it comes to animation because there's nobody with cameras that can film like on the outskirts of like a hilltop from like down up above or something like that. Because a lot of times that's what happens is we're getting these really blurry like camera shots of people like on break in costumes, and we're going like, oh, I wonder what that species of character is going to be or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all in all, we're all very excited for Maul Shadow Lord. It's nice that we finally have an acknowledgement of what's coming next. And by the way, for anybody wondering, this is coming out in 2026. There's been no release window in 2026. My hope is that they release this in January or, in the winter at some point to kind of hold us over until The Mandalorian Grogu, and then after that, in the fall, we'll get Ahsoka Season 2, most likely. So we could be setting ourselves up for a really cool bookended year of series for Star Wars in 2026. But yeah, Another good solid show, guys. Tonight, I will throw it over to Milton. Where can the people find you? And what will you be talking about online? Because football's over. Are you talking about what's going on with wrestling, the world of wrestling?
Not much wrestling talk, honestly. I mean, well, the whole John Cena heel turn or heel run has been horrendous in my opinion. It's just yeah, whatever. Um, yeah, that's my wrestling 2 cents. Trust me, I can't deal with that trash ass heel run so far. But whatever, that's another podcast for another day. Um, you can find me on Twitter or X at Milton Weber 7, or mainly Instagram. I'm probably more active on Instagram at Milton7Weber. Hit me up. I like to talk, funny videos, memes, Star Wars, sports, fitness. Hit me up. That's where I like to do my stuff. Be positive. But the next couple weeks, you'll be seeing me in and out because I'm getting married in literally less than 13 days. So there will be some times where you guys won't see me, but I will be here in spirit. But I appreciate you guys listening and watching.
There we go. And yes, we appreciate all the insight you always provide. Great commentary and great discussion. As always, over to you, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, you or everybody can find me at Real Ben Maynard on X or Instagram. I'm always on there, just pretty much just talking fitness and Star Wars and football, video games, and I mean, you'll probably see me posting some tweets here and there over the coming weeks. Like I said, I'll probably be hopping on some other Star Wars channels as well. So stay tuned for all of that.
Yeah, there we go. And for me, you can follow me here on youtube.com/Starrapter. And also, we are available on any podcast streaming service of your choice, Spotify, Apple Music, and any other place by searching Out of Room Transmission. I do have one other thing out of the norm to report for my YouTube. I did put up my initial thoughts of the Nintendo Switch after the first week of using it. I was initially planning to do just like a quick little thought of like the first couple days. I ended up just like diving deep into the hardware, software, everything about it, and yeah, pretty happy with how it turned out. So do appreciate it if you check out that video of the Switch too, especially if you're a gamer. Hopefully you get something out of it, and that helps you deciding if you want it now or later. But other than that, until next time, this was episode 200, on our way to 208, where we'll have the 200 episodes solid. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's going to do it for Milton, for Ben, for Chris, a.k.a. Starrapter. Thanks for watching, and may the force be with you always. End transmission.